Hey guys, it's Chelsea with Transcending Pain. I am bringing to you this new series called Read and Ramble, where I will discuss some different books with you. I'll share them with you. I'll read a little bit about them, and we'll just kind of ramble a little bit. So, my story goes, I did not use a coach. I did not use a program. I didn't know anything like that existed when I came across the mind-body approach to healing. I didn't know anything about it. I was simply given a book recommendation by my sister. I didn't know what the book was about. At this point in my life, I had kind of given up on trying new things and different approaches and treatments and whatever. I was just accepted the fact that I was going to be chronically ill and I would just have to live with it. So I wasn't looking for healing when I came across the mind-body approach. When I started reading this first book, though, it became very apparent to me that I needed to open my mind to something different. And I encourage you as we go through this series together that you do what I did. And what I did was I set aside everything I thought I knew, all the research I'd done over the years, and I just set it on a bookshelf, so to speak, and let it sit there and hang out while I opened my mind to a new way of thinking, a new belief system, different ideas. And when I did that, remarkable things happened. I found healing, and if I can heal, I really believe you can too. So with that said, although I am a perfectionist, I am going to really embrace being human. And I know these videos will not be perfect. I'm sure I'm going to, at times I might jumble my words or mispronounce something or get a frog in my throat or my voice might crack or whatever. So I really am going to embrace being human. And I hope you can embrace that about me too. And along with being human, I have some puppies that are puppies, and that's just part of reality. Hopefully they don't cause too much chaos or distraction, but we're just going to go with it. We're going to embrace whatever is thrown at us, and we're going to heal together. So let's get into it. I'm not going to tell you much about these books before I get into them. I will tell you, though, that I'm not affiliated with them. This is not paid advertising or anything. This is simply me sharing my experience with you. Also, I do want to just put it out there. I am not a medical professional. I cannot diagnose, treat, prescribe, cure, prevent any illness or disease. This is not substitute for traditional medical treatment. Whenever you're considering a new treatment plan or something of that nature, it's always best to discuss that with a health professional, with your medical doctor. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. This is Getting Well Again. So we're just going to hop right into it. And I'm going to tell you that from this, well, maybe. Okay, so part 1, the mind and cancer. No, I don't have cancer. I've never had cancer. God willing, I will never have cancer. And this speaks to one of the things I had to embrace early on, which was I had to let all the differences go. When I was reading these different books, I focused on the similarities, how I could relate, what I had in common. I let go of any differences. So I really encourage you as we go through these books together that you do the same. All right, let's get into it. Chapter 1, The Mind-Body Connection, a psychological approach to cancer treatment. Everyone participates in his or her health or illness at all times. This book will show people with cancer or other serious illnesses how they can participate in getting well again. It will also show those who are not ill how they can participate in maintaining their health. We use the word participate to indicate the vital role you play in creating your own level of health. Most of us assume that healing is something done to us, that if we have a medical problem, our responsibility is simply to get to a physician who will then heal us. That's true to a degree, but it is only part of the story. We all participate in our own health through our beliefs, our feelings, and our attitudes toward life, as well as in more direct ways, such as through exercise and diet. In addition, our response to medical treatment is influenced by our beliefs about the effectiveness of the treatment and by the confidence we have in the medical team. Okay, I just want to talk a little bit about this because this brings up one of the essential principles I have found in my own journey, and that is responsibility. For many, many years, I gave away my power to all these other professionals and all these other treatments, and it was time for me to own my healing. I had to take responsibility. And if this isn't something that you've considered yet, I just encourage you to reflect on that for yourself. And it's not to say that, these professionals and these treatments weren't helpful or necessary or whatever. It's what role am I playing in my own health or illness? Where can I take responsibility to influence my healing? So, just something to consider. This book in no way minimizes the role of the physician and other health professionals engaged in medical treatment. Rather, getting well again will describe what you can do in conjunction with medical treatment to gain the health you deserve. That's something that I love about the mind-body approach to healing, is that it doesn't have to be this or that. It doesn't have to be this or medication or this or some other remedy. You can use the mind-body approach to healing in conjunction with any other treatment modality. For me, I ended up letting go a lot of the treatments that I had been under and a lot of the things that I had been using to manage my symptoms. And over time, I just really began to solely embrace mind-body techniques. With that said, this is your journey, and I encourage you to use this approach in combination of whatever else you've been doing up until this point in time. And again, this is something to discuss with your medical professional if at any point you decide to alter your existing treatment plan. So, back to the book. Understanding how much you can participate in your health or illness is a significant first step for everyone in getting well. For many of our patients, it is a critically important step. It may well be for you too. We are Carl and Stephanie Simontons, and we operate the Cancer Counseling and Research Center in Dallas, Texas. Carl, the medical director of the center, is a radiation oncologist, a physician specializing in the treatment of cancer. Stephanie is director of counseling and is trained in psychology. Most of our patients who come to us from all over the country have received a medically incurable diagnosis from their doctors. According to national cancer statistics, they have an average life expectancy of 1 year. When these people believe that only medical treatment can help them, but their physicians have said that the medicine is no longer of much avail and that they probably have only a few months to live, they feel doomed, trapped, helpless, and usually fulfill the doctor's expectations. But if patients mobilize their own resources and actively participate in their recovery, they may well exceed their life expectancy and significantly alter the quality of life. The ideas and techniques described in this book are the approach we employ at our Cancer Counseling and Research Center to show cancer patients how they can participate in getting well again and live a rewarding and fulfilling life. So, when I was reading this, I thought to myself, I am going to implement what this book is sharing with me so that I can participate in getting well again and live a rewarding and fulfilling life. I started to think about these things. I started to embrace these concepts, and I started to believe them. Even though I might have had some doubt. I'm not saying I didn't have doubt, but I really thought about these things. I really took on the mindset of these authors. I really implemented everything I was learning. And I believe that was essential for my healing. So, the starting point, the will to live. Why do some patients recover their health and others die, when the diagnosis is the same for both? Carl became interested in this problem while he was completing his residency as a cancer specialist at the University of Oregon Medical School. There he noticed that patients who stated they wanted to live would often act as if they did not. There were lung cancer patients who refused to stop smoking, liver cancer patients who wouldn't cut down on alcohol, and others who wouldn't show up for treatment regularly. In many cases, these were people whose medical prognosis indicated that, with treatment, they could look forward to many more years of life. Yet, while they affirmed again and again that they had countless reasons to live, these patients showed a greater apathy, depression, and attitude of giving up than did a number of others diagnosed with terminal disease. In the latter category was a small group of patients who had been sent home after minimal treatment, with little expectation that they would live to see their first follow-up appointment. Yet, several years later, they were still arriving for their annual or semi-annual examinations, remaining in quite good health, and inexplicably beating the statistics. When Carl asked them to account for the good health, they would frequently give such answers as, "I can't die until my son graduates from college," or "they need me too much at work," or "I won't die until I've solved the problem with my daughter." The common thread running through these replies was the belief that they exerted some influence over the course of their disease. The essential difference between these patients and those who would not cooperate was in their attitude toward their disease and their positive stance toward life. The patients who continued to do well, for one reason or another, had a stronger will to live. This discovery fascinated us. So when I was reading this, I had to think to myself, what is my attitude? What is my will to live? Do I believe I have some influence over the course of my condition, these diseases, and everything that I've been diagnosed with and battling with over the years? So I ask you, do you believe you exert some influence? Do you have a positive stance toward life? Really consider those questions for yourself. So, continuing on. Stephanie, whose background was in motivational counseling, had an interest in unusual achievers, those people who in business seemed destined to go to the top. She had studied the behavior of exceptional performers and had taught the principles of that behavior to average achievers. It seemed reasonable to study cancer patients in the same way, to learn what those who were doing well had in common and how they differed from those who were doing poorly. If the difference between the patient who regains his health and the one who does not is in part a matter of attitude toward the disease and belief that he could somehow influence it, then we wondered, how could we influence patients' beliefs in that positive direction? Might we be able to apply techniques from motivational psychology to induce and enhance a will to live? Beginning in 1969, we began looking at all the possibilities, exploring such diverse psychological techniques as encounter groups, group therapy, meditation, mental imagery, positive thinking, motivational techniques, mind development courses like Silva Mind Control and Mind Dynamics and biofeedback. From our study of biofeedback, we learned that certain techniques were enabling people to influence their own internal body processes, such as heart rate and blood pressure. An important aspect of biofeedback, called visual imagery, was also a principal component of other techniques we had studied. The more we learned about the process, the more intrigued we became. Essentially, the visual imagery process involved a period of relaxation during which the patient would mentally picture a desired goal or result. With a cancer patient, this would mean his attempting to visualize the cancer, the treatment destroying it, and most importantly, his body's natural defenses helping him recover. After discussion with two leading biofeedback researchers, Drs. Joe Kamaya and Elmer Green of the Menninger Clinic, we decided to use visual imagery techniques with cancer patients. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the Read and Ramble for today. But this is one of the tools I started using early on. I don't know if visualization has been a part of your experience yet, but I'm excited to share more about this book with you and that visual imagery piece in the next video. But yeah, I could ramble on and on forever. I just want you to know that no matter where you are in your journey, I believe in you. The mind-body approach is so powerful. People everywhere, all over the world, every single day are healing from so many different types of conditions utilizing the mind-body approach to healing. If I can heal, you can too. I believe in you. If you're struggling, if you need additional support or resources or anything like that, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you. You can visit transcendingpain.com for more information. Until next time, with kindness, Chelsea.